Bring this over here. Window capture on. Off. No, that's not what I wanted. I want to turn. Where is display capture? We're going to put it above, and that way I can just do this. There we go. Okay. So this is my little shamey over on the other server. So to make a WeakAura, so the one I'm just gonna pull out of chat, Kumo was the Urshock one, right? So I made a version of it down here, which works, but I'm gonna show you how to I make it. So just quickly, very basic. I'll just show you what it's gonna do. So let me load it. So very simple. When I target someone or something, it goes. You can obviously change this, and that would make it very different. But it's green if you can Urshock them, and the second they walk out of range, it tells you what the range is, estimated in 5-yard increments. I think that's the best resolution you can get, unfortunately, with WeakAuras. But like, you can see when you can shock them and stuff. Anyways, how did I make that? So it's pretty simple. So I'll go to first thing you do to make a new aura is new aura. Then this tab's gonna pop up. You can choose what kind you want. If you want an icon one, like what I have, where I've got icons on my screen that do things, you click icon. If you want a progress bar, like something that counts down, like the duration of bloodlust or the a buff uptime or a proc or a potion buff or something like that, you can do that. You can get a bar. You can also do an icon and just have it count down like a little spin dial thing as well, but that would be under icon. And then you can do other things like textures and all kinds of other stuff. Um, but we'll just start now with the icon one. So I click icon. I'm going to name it. So Earth Shock Range Check. All right. So the first thing I want to do here is go over. You should go to the display tab if it's not already there. And what you're going to do is the thing you care about. Well, first thing I want to pick the picture for Earthshock, right? So I click on this little folder here, choose, and then in the top I just type in Earth, and there you go, Earthshock. I just click that, and you should see the little icon populate there. Then I hit OK. Next thing we're going to do is go over to trigger. We're going to tell it when to activate and what to do. So we're trying to get a range check. So there's a ton of different things in here. I think you can do it with just, let's see, can I do spell? Yeah, that's right. You can't do it with spell. You have to do it with, yeah, you're going to have to do it with player unit info. Okay. So the type is going to be player unit info because you're trying to pull the range information. You're going to go down here. You're going to do range check. And then it's going to have a little note here about for friendly targets, there's like a 3-yard difference because it works differently than enemy units. So it tells you right there. So 20 is a good number. So you can see there. So I would do target because that's the unit I care about. Distance check. And I would want to do the first one here would be for when my distance is greater than 20 yards, right? So it's greater than or equals to. So I don't want to put this. So what I would do is, you know what? Let's actually flip this around. The first one we're going to do is when we're less than or equal to 20 yards, right? So when the distance is from 0 to 20, it'll go green. That'll be the first thing this trigger is going to do. So this is the first trigger. So that tells us when we're good. Now we need to know when we're bad. So the way we do that is we click here for an extra trigger. So we're going to do, you know what? Let me go ahead and, I can't do that right now, actually. Sorry, let me go back. Here we go. So our first trigger is going to collapse, and our second trigger here. Same thing for the second trigger. We're going to go to target. We're going to go to, sorry, not spell. Sorry, player info. Then we're going to go to range check. Then we go to target. Then we check distance, and this time it's going to be for when we're greater than 20 yards. So there's going to be this point where you're exactly at 20. They're both going to be true technically, but I think we can handle that with another statement. So now we got 2 triggers. We've got when you're greater than or equal to 20 yards, right? 2 triggers. So now what you want to do is you want to tell it what to do, right? So for example, if I have nothing targeted, nothing happens. But as soon as I target something, actually it's not even going to know what to do because I haven't even told it what to do. Sorry. You go to conditions next, the tab next to it. And this is where you tell it what happens. So I hit add condition. So if trigger 1, which is our distance check, right? So if our trigger is active or distance, you can manually set it. So if we're here, If active is true, meaning we are equal to or less than 20, then show your icon, and you can just do source. There you go. And you can set it for trigger, whatever. I just do dynamic information. It just means that it'll pull basically whatever. So now, wait, what did I do? Oh, I had that to false. That should be true, right? Trigger one. Did I not set it? No. If trigger one is active, did I hold on? Did I see something up here? Range checks are good. It's loaded. Why is it not? Dang it! It should be working. I literally just had it working. Let's try distance then. How about that? So we'll match our trigger here. So this one for trigger one, if it is greater than or equal to 20, less than or equal to 20. Let's see, does that work? Why is it not showing? That's super weird. I don't understand. Icon, source. Yeah. Do I need to tie it to trigger one? I shouldn't have to, right? Wait, I messed something up here. Something is not right. Trigger. Okay, sorry. So that's what I messed up. So that's going to be an issue. So be sure that we set the triggers, right? We set trigger one and trigger two. So this thing up here where it says required for activation. So these triggers are within this Earthshock button essentially. So this top one here controls the behavior of the button based on all your triggers. So your WeakAura, your Earthshock range check, that's going to be this icon here. That is going to be altered by these two triggers, but how you set this top line required for activation. So if I say all triggers, that means both of these have to be true, or both of these have to be triggered. So let's say before anything happens here. But since the range thing is on, above and below, it'll never activate, right? Because they're both contradicting each other. Because when one is active, the other one isn't. So the all triggers is a problem. So you need to go to any trigger instead of all trigger. So now when I target this guy, it's going to be on the whole time, right? Because I'm going in and out of the max range. So what we need to do is, just so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about here. So we need to go back into condition. So this first condition here, what we'll do is we're going to add a property change to this condition. So we're showing the icon. And now what we're going to do is let's change the color of it to color. Click on the color box. And then I'm going to go over here to green just for good, essentially, right? And that should work. So now when I am in range, it should go green. Yeah, see, there you go. So now when I back out of range, it goes back yellow. And when I'm in there, perfect. Now I can add another condition. So I can add another condition for trigger 2 this time, distance. Let's say, same thing as before, but the opposite range, right? Above or equal to 20. We're going to color it red this time. Bingo. Let's make it, can I make it a little bit, yeah, a little bit something like that. That looks bad. Never mind. Let's go back to this. Cool. So now, there you go. You can see it happening right there. So can Earthshock. Can't. Perfect. Okay. Next thing is some other things we can do here, right? So, well, let me go back to this. So we've got our condition set. So now we know when whatever. Okay, right? We've got our trigger set. So we know, how all of the properties are going to be affected. Conditions are going to set what happens. You can do other things too. So you can have it, for example, if I wanted to, this one's kind of tricky, but especially for this kind of WeakAura. But you can have certain things happen, like sounds play or something. Like if you get a proc that shows a button, you could have it also maybe make like a lightning sound effect or something, right? Like you can go down here and pick one. So I can be like,
aggro.
You could something. Don't pick that one. There's a bunch of them you can pick. Anyways, so yeah, let's see here. So I want to do, and there's other ones you can do. Well, there's a bunch of things you can do. But what I'm getting at here is one thing you can also do here is in the text field. So first off, there might not be a text field or a glow field. So this is in the under display. So first off, I'll just go through some of the options here. So icon settings. So by default, whatever your icon setting is, you can go in here and do things like zoom it or whatever. Like I actually tend to zoom it so that you get rid of that kind of border from like the action bar you can kind of see there. I just zoom it maybe like 30% or so until that's all kind of gone. That way you still get the icon, but it looks a little bit cleaner. You can change the alpha for the see-throughness of it. You can do things like that. You can also color it here, but I wouldn't mess with that. Just use the default icon color. This isn't a cooldown one, but if it was tied for a specific spell, you could also do the cooldown settings there. Now in the position settings here, you can change the size of the button. Sorry, let me see if I can make this. Can I make this a little bit smaller so I can put this on one screen? Yeah, here we go. Let's pull it up here. So you can go to the drag handles here to manually do that, you know, and you can just click and drag and move it around. And if it keeps trying to lock, if you just hold the shift key down, that'll all go away and you can just kind of drag it wherever you want. Otherwise, it'll kind of like snap to things, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, so this button right here. Now, like I said, you can manually adjust, or you can go into here into the position settings. And under position settings, you can do exactly the same thing, but with more fine tuning, yada, yada, yada. You can change the anchor points, which means like where is considered like your measurement point. So, you know, when I'm talking about like offset distance, like if I wanted to align stuff perfectly, I want to make sure they all have the same anchor point. So like if I had like 3 of these blocks I wanted to line up, if one was anchored at the middle and another one was anchored on the side, if I try to space them out perfectly with the math here, you know, like if a block is 50 wide, then I want to put one at 0 and the next one would be at 50, and then the one after that would be, if they're anchored differently, they would overlap wrong, because if I put one out at 50 but it's anchored at the center, it would actually overlap by 25. Probably don't need to know that, but that's what is there. Now you can add text to them. So I can hit the add text button. By default, when you make an icon, it's going to throw something in there. I'll just show you what that looks like. So by default, you're probably going to have some stuff that looks like this. So let's say I put this right, or whatever. It'll have some kind of text in here. And if you hover over the text, it'll give you some. The top ones there are kind of the default like readable ones. So for instance, %P tells you the progress of it. So let's say you had that for Earthshock. If you did %P Earthshock for an Earthshock ability, it would just give you like a cooldown counter or whatever, or the time on it. If you did it for Bloodlust, you know, it would track the time on Bloodlust. If you do %S, it would be stacks, right? So I don't think you're gonna have to worry about that. But if you were tracking a debuff on yourself, or, you know, I don't know, yeah, a debuff on yourself, or maybe your water shield stacks, you could do %S or whatever, and it would keep a track number of that. Now, if you look down at the bottom here, it also will give you text recommendations based on the triggers you've built, right? So if you look there, it says advanced trigger replacements, and there's the units about range estimation. So if you look, it gives you some commands. Like the red lines are commands. So %1.unit tells you the unit, and then %1. That's a target name, and then %1.min range, max range, or high ball, low ball estimates on the range. Because like I said, there's like a granularity of about 3 yards, so it kind of just rounds between 5, at least from what I read on that. And you'll see it here in a second. So if I go and type that in, right, I'll just type in exactly what it has there for unit 1, or for, so the 1 refers to the trigger number. So it's trigger 1 and trigger 2, but they're both doing range estimation, so you don't have to worry about, you can really pick either. But I'm going to do minimum estimate. So %1.min range equals, there we go, right? Yeah. Okay. So now it should give us, hold on. Yeah, so in the center there, you see how it's guessing the range? So it's doing, yeah. So it's saying you're at 15 and then you're out. So you can kind of think of like which way you want to do it. So I would probably do, if you're going to do it this way, I would probably use the second trigger and get the range estimation on the, like, so I'm at 25, 30 yards here. I need to be in 20. I'm good Earthshock. Like I would do that rather than the other way around. But yeah, you could resize this and put this, you know, wherever you want it or something. And there you go. And you could have it. Oh, some other things you can do, right? You can make it, there's load conditions. And by load, it means when does the entire WeakAura we just created, not anything inside of it, but the entire thing run. So for example, I could select in combat, which means that this thing is not going to work anymore until I get in combat. You can click it again, not in combat, which means it would only work whenever I'm not in combat. You could do never. That just sends it down to the not loaded list, and you'll never have to, it's basically like not having it. It's just a way to get rid of WeakAuras if you don't. You could filter by in a group. Are you in a group? Are you in a raid group, etc. Right? So and if you want to do multiple things, you can click here and yada yada yada. Right? So if I'm not in a group, like so if I'm solo, it won't load. If I'm in a group, it will load. If I'm let's say only in a raid though, it won't load when I'm a group and it won't load when I'm solo. If I check 2 of those, it'll load when I'm in a group and when I'm in a raid, but not when I'm solo. And then if I check all 3, it'll be loaded basically all the time, which is the equivalent of not having that on at all. Right. You can do class, so you could do by shaman, which is good if you have multiple characters in the same account because WeakAuras are shared between the same account. So if I were to go from my shaman here to my priest, the WeakAura for the priest would still be loaded. I'd want to change that to shaman. Now, if you've got certain talents, like say like Earth Shield, for example, now as a Resto Shaman, you're Ellie, so never mind. But if you were a Resto Shaman, for example, and you had some kind of Resto Shaman thing, you could go in here and select that so that this would only load when you had that talent. And then you can set different conditionals. So like I want these multiple talent, whatever. You can even set instance IDs here. So if you wanted to only load whenever you're inside Mechtherodon's lair, you would check this box, and then you hover over it. It tells you the instance ID for Mechtherodon is 651 up there. So I'm going to go over here, and I would just type in 651, and then I'd enter. And I think if you want to do more than one, you just separate them. It tells you at the very bottom. Supports multiple entries separated by commas. So there you go. You could do by gear type. These are all the conditionals. There's a ton of them. You could figure out how you want to use it. Let me turn all these off. But there you go. That's it, basically. Let's go. I'll just make sure it works. Like I said, there might be a little bit of fine tuning around how accurate that number is. Because, like I said, the game, I don't know. I mean, the game, it should be pretty accurate. At least the coloring. I don't know about the numbers, like, because it's only right. So where is? Do I even have Earthshock on my bars? Oh my god, I haven't played this guy in so long. I'm sorry. That is Earthshock right there, or it's supposed to be at least. Let's see. Yeah, you can see here that there's a slight, like, I can. It's like there's like a 1 yard. There's like a, man, it's like literally like 1 yard or something, huh? I can't cast it there. So like for example, I'm just gonna find it. I mean, it's really close. But you can see here, like, oh fuck. Where's my slow totem? Am I gonna die? Oh, not level. Okay, that's oh, perfect. Thank you guys. You can see that like the coloring on it is like slightly off, right? Like I'm trying to get it. Actually, they might not be. It might not be off. It might be that the WeakAura updates faster than this, so like the panels are changing colors differently. But it's like the same movement works. But so it looks like it works. It looks like just the WeakAura maybe updates just like a microsecond faster than the basic UI one does, which is technically good. At least that's what it looks like. I couldn't, yeah. So that would be that. Now, if you wanted to make some other ones, let's see. What else did you say you wanted to see? Basically, a better version of this. Yeah, range check CD for Fire Elemental. Right. I don't have Fire Elemental on this character, but I can pull it out of this, I think. Let's see. I saw Earth Ellie right there. Hold on. Where's Fire Ellie? There it is. Ooh, it doesn't tell me the spell ID. I can probably look it up, though. So I can actually I'll show you how to do it if you don't have the spell ID. But normally what you would do is if you have, just for reference, if you're trying to do something with a spell, specifically if it's a specific rank of a spell, if you have LVI or if you don't, but you see in the bottom left of my tooltip there how it has got an ID in red and then it's got some numbers after it. That's the like game code ID file. So each one of these has a different ID number, right? And each one of those is referring to a different rank. Some things like Earthbind don't have rank, so there's one ID. Everything has an ID. Buffs have IDs. Items have IDs. Everything has ID. So if you're most of what you're going to be doing in here, like when you're, I'll just make a new one real quick so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. Icon. If I were to make a trigger based on, let's say, a buff, or that's not good. Let's say, see what it says names or exact spell IDs. So if I were to type over here in this 10414 and hit enter, it immediately is going to pull up Earthshock. Now, the other thing you can do if you don't have an exact or you want a range of things, could be Earth. I can just literally type in Earthshock and it'll pull it. And if you hover over the icon, it'll show you every single ID of Earthshock that it can track. And so this icon will track the cooldown for all Earthshocks instead of, I mean, they all already share it, but an example of this could be like multiple ranks of a Hellstone, different types of pots, like a major mana versus a supreme mana or whatever. Maybe other things you might down rank. So like the cooldown, I don't actually know if there's different cooldown abilities that you down rank, but that's basically how you could use it. So let's make, you said Fire Ellie, right? Let's make a Fire Ellie. I'm going to rename it actually. Let's put a CD in there. And all I'm doing to do that is just right clicking on it. Okay, so what we're going to do is it's going to be Fire Elemental, right? It's just called Fire Elemental Totem. There we go. Okay, so it's going to appear weird like that for me because I don't have this spell, but that's okay. I can do trigger one and it should work, I think. Well, this won't be a problem for you when you do it, but I should be able to just type in Fire Ellie. There we go. Boom. Now, do you see it's got that one down there in the bottom? I just made a default icon. That's because it's trying to do stacks, and the default number for stacks is 1. So I don't want that, so I'm just going to delete that and hit enter. You always got to hit enter in command fields, or else when you click out or change, it won't save. You can also just hit the, it keeps hovering all the shit over. There's also, here, I'll show you. See how that OK pops up? You can also just hit OK, but you got to hit enter or OK. So boop, there we go. So now, okay, this is tracking the buff. I actually don't want to track the buff. That's actually not what I want to do with this spell. So I'm sorry if I just confused you there, but this would be tracking a buff on me, like a proc or a trinket or something like that. I want to track the spell. So I go to spell, and so again, valid name or spell ID. So I want to type in Fire Elemental Totem. It didn't like that. And the way I know it didn't like that is because it didn't load the icon up here. So let me pull. So another way, if you don't have, or you're having trouble finding spell IDs or information on stuff, just go to Wowhead and make sure on Wowhead TBC, and you can just type it in here, Fire Elemental, and then Fire Elemental rank 1. That's it. So this is it right here. So this right here is the spell, and if you look, it's going to be probably a little confusing at first, but if you look in the address bar up here, see where it says spell equals 2894, or sorry, 2894. That is actually the that's the spell ID. They have the entire database categorized just like it is in game, so it makes it very simple. So if you ever want to look for something specific, you can do that. Another example of that would be, let's say, this is what I did earlier for myself. Let me just copy this real quick so I don't lose it. So let's say Flask of Pure Death, right? So Flask of Pure Death. Now, if you look up there again in this top, there's an item ID. So if I wanted to track like the number of stacks of these I had in my bags or the cooldown on the item or something like that, I would use the item ID. If I want to look at the buff, like I want to track the fact that I have the buff on me, the buff is not the same as the item ID. So if you look, when you go to this item, see how the hyperlink shows up for Flask of Death on the on use section? If I click that, it's actually going to load the spell that you gain as a buff on your bar. And now if you look up here under spell, now it changed over to spell, and that's the ID. So effectively, this right here is what's going to be up here where Fortitude is, for example. And again, you could pull this number if you pop a flask and you hover over that. See what says the ID there for Power with Fortitude? That number you see, that 28540, is what would be up there. So if you wanted to track Water Shield up there or something like that, that's what you would do. And if you wanted to track your consumes, like, hey, you wanted to have something like, if you don't have a flask on and you're in Serpentine Caverns and you're not in combat, put a big thing on my screen that says, use your flask, dumbass, you know? And then when you use a flask, it goes away. Or you're in combat, it goes away. Something like that. You could do that. with all the things I've shown you so far. So just let's go back to this fire elemental here. So fire elemental, I got the number. Now see, perfect. See now how it loaded the fire elemental icon. We're good. Track cooldowns. That's all we want to do. So basically, what this is going to do is when fire elemental is on cooldown, this icon's going to pop up, and then I can just go over here to display and just show cooldown, and it's going to be just like that. But it's obviously going to be in 20 minutes intervals. So I'm also going to go over here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to get rid of those bad edges. That's pretty much all you need. I'm going to remove the stacks. Yeah. You can add a glow effect, for example, if you wanted to. So you could do something like that, or you could even do, that's an action point glow. You could do a pixel glow where it's the little things around the edge. And then if you click extra options, you can change how fast they spin, the thickness of them, use custom color. I can come in here and make them blue. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, so I'm going to turn that off. I don't want that. So I don't have fire elemental, unfortunately, to show you how it worked, but I'll tell you what, let's duplicate this and let's make one for NS. And all I'm going to do is change the spell from, so 16188. So all I'm going to do is go in here and just change this from fire elemental totem to 16188. And now it's going to be nature swiftness, right? So now how this would work is when I use nature swiftness, I've got the buff. So it's not on cooldown yet, right? It's on cooldown. Now I've got this thing that tracks the cooldown for me. And then I can go in here and change it. So I can go in here and, for example, I can go to display. I can go to text. I can remove the text. I can change the color of the text to yellow, right? Oh, wait, no, I can't actually because it's, sorry, I'm using the cooldown. If you have cooldown, so what I would probably do, honestly, is I would do show cooldown, hide cooldown text, and then go in here to display and do %P for progress again. And now you can see an exact, instead of seeing the 3-minute thing, you can get an exact timer. And then you can go in here, and so under the text section, there's fonts and flags. So I can go in here and change the background. I can change the font color to, or type to that. I can change the size of the font type. Let's see, I can change the width of the lines. I can change the anchor point inside the frame. So right now it's mounted to bottom right. Let's make it, or actually let's change it to center and we're good to go. So now it's in the center, it's yellow, it's that. Easy peasy. And the idea would be that when it goes away, it'll just disappear. Now, another thing you can do is, like I was telling you earlier, now I have an example to show you. Under actions, you see they're broken up into 3 sections here: on initiate, on show, on hide. So, for example, I could make, when this thing goes away, on hide, my cooldown is up, right? So I could make it play a sound, and I can make it do. Okay, that's not a good one. Let's not do that. Let's do
empowered.
That's really loud, but it'll technically work. So now, when that thing goes away, you'll know. I would never use something that loud. I would never use something that loud. But you could, whatever. That's what it's going to do when it disappears. Now, some other things you can do is, let me think. You could also, let's make a condition here where if trigger 1 is on cooldown is false. So if nature swiftness or fire elemental for that matter is not on cooldown, right? So make that false, right? On cooldown is false. Then glow, right? Or I could, let's do icon. Yeah, source. Let's see if this works. So 12 seconds when my cooldown is up. This should show the icon again, but without being desaturated, right? It didn't. Okay, so what did I screw up here? So is it true? It's not true. Oh boy. Why is it? So if icon cooldown. So show on cooldown conditions. If trigger 1 is usable, then icon source feedback. But what? Oh, do I not have a fallback icon? Yeah, that's a thing. I don't know why it's not. Oh, do I need to uncheck that? No, that's not it. Why is it not? Let me see here. I wonder why it's not working. I feel like there's something I'm not doing. I've gotten mixed up here with this. Let's see. Trigger 1. Can I use active as false? No, that didn't work either. Can I get any of them to work? No. I don't know why it's giving me issues. But it should be if it's not on cooldown. If it's on cooldown as false, then icon source dynamic inner fallback icon. That should pop the icon. I don't know why it's not. Very strange. I don't know why that's not working. Let's see. What did I put in here? Track cooldown only. Wait. Oh, what did I do? Track cooldown. Show. Oh, is it because? Never real quick. Wait, did I put the wrong spell ID in there somewhere? What the fuck? Why is it showing a fire elemental? What? I am very confused. I think maybe my hold on. Let me reload real quick. I don't know why that's a fire elemental. I feel like something just glitched out there. Which can happen, but reloads normally save it. No, it's still showing me a fire elemental even though I got nothing for fire elementals even loaded. What did I do? Wait, is my fallback icon? Oh my god, hold on. Wait. Did I put the wrong number in there? I did put the wrong number in there. Oh. Oh, okay, that's why. Whoops. Yeah, that was my bad. So now it works. Okay. Jeez. Okay. So now I'm just curious. If I put this on cooldown, okay, yeah. So if you wanted to have one button that does when it's on cooldown and off or whatever, like you could have, just as an example, right? I could go, let's do, yeah. So I would go in here. I would do edit my glow. So let's make it just action button glow. Make it look like an action button. It's fine. There you go. So that means I can push nature swiftness, and then I use nature swiftness, and then I heal with it, and then it goes on cooldown. There you go. Sorry about all that mix up there, but you can kind of see how it works. So if I uncheck the visibility thing, well, I guess I can't show you that now because whatever. But yeah, you want to have that checked. And if you want to edit it, like make the not as crazy, you could I don't know, do whatever you want. That's pretty much all you do. And literally all you had to do is change out the name of the spell there, and then the trigger thing here. Maybe dynamic info would have been better instead of what I was using. But yeah, I just messed up the number there. But again, if you just go in here, you don't have to know the number. You can just type it in like Fire Ellie, and it'll pull it. It'll give you the ID number too. But yeah, so that's why you can track that. You can do the exact same thing with Bloodlust. Same thing with that. So let's go ahead and make that Fire Elemental one for you. So I don't know. Obviously, you can customize this once you get these, but so we'll copy that. Fire Elemental Totem. Yep. On cooldown. I don't know how you're going to want this. I'm just going to put it on always for now, and then I'll let you adjust it. So let's say, another thing you could do too, if you want more granularity of control, you could also go in and make two. Let me show you this. This is a good thing to show you. So let's say I wanted to have, let me delete this. So this right here on cooldown, right? So I don't need this one anymore. Well, I could use it for an example, but so this fire elemental, let me swap it over here. This fire elemental WeakAura right here is going to only appear when fire elemental's on cooldown, and it's going to look just like this Nature Swiftness one does. Here, I'll move this over. It's gonna. Oh, I need to reload it. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. So it's gonna look. It's gonna look just like this Nature Swiftness one does, where it's just doing this, but it's gonna be the fire elemental. It'll tell you how long you have until you can use it again, right? But it's only gonna show up when it's on cooldown. Let's say you wanted to have one icon with one set of conditions for when it's not on cooldown, and another when it is on cooldown. Now you can do some of that with conditions, but you can only do so many things with conditions. Like, if this is true and false, you can do this, and if it's not, you can do this. You can have more things though. So for example, I can take this fire elemental one, or let's just use the Nature Swiftness one again, for example. I can duplicate it. So I can put Nature Swiftness, let's say, off CD. I can rename this one to Nature Swiftness CD. Now I've got two WeakAuras. They're both stacked on top of each other. I can split them up, right? If I want to realign them, I can just come in here and copy the positioning of them, and I can get them. So this one's currently at 0, 0. So I can just copy that. If I wanted to move this one up, I'll just copy this here. Boom. Enter. And this. Copy the Y offset. Enter. Now they're stacked on top of each other again. Now, another thing you can do is you can shift click, highlight both of these, right click, add new group. Now I've got the Nature Swiftness group. And if I click that, I can just move them both together. And if I hit the plus sign, I can modify them. I can change the order of them, which doesn't really matter too much, at least. But in here, you can, let's say this one is when it's on cooldown. Let's say what happens when it's off cooldown. Well, I could do anything I want. I could I could get rid of all this stuff here. And I could just say, change this to on. Not on cooldown. So show this when it's not on cooldown. And there you go, right? That's it. Same thing. It's the same thing as the other thing, but you can do more things with it. Like I can set a whole nother load parameter. So maybe I only want to see that thing pop up when, well, hold on. I need to turn it off over here, don't I? Here, let's do that. Is it showing me the icon? Yeah, we'll do on cooldown. So now I see nothing, right? And the reason for that is because this thing only loads. Here, I'll show you. So let's get in combat. So what I have is this one that is tracking my cooldown only tracks my cooldown now. And it's loaded all the time, right? So anytime I put Nature Swiftness on cooldown, it pops up. Now, I really should have used this on something that has a shorter cooldown, like Totem or something. But now when I get into combat here, Nature Swiftness, I'm in combat, Nature Swiftness thing popped up saying I can use it, right? Now, I've got some weird stuff happening on my action bars here, so I don't know why that's happening, but I just burned a potion too. I don't know what I did. My action bars just changed when I got into combat, so that's, or did I actually don't know what just happened. Shift 1 do that? I'm so confused. Okay, well, I don't know. I'll fix that later. Let's change this to something that's better, like, what's a shorter cooldown? So like, one of these got a cooldown, right? Surely. Gotta have an. I guess there's no offensive or defensive cooldown that I can use. Surely something here. There's gotta be a healing spell that's got a cooldown, right? No, nothing. I can just spam. First shield doesn't.
Hello.
Yo, what's up?
Need help with anything before I SOM?
No, I'm good, bro. Thank you though.
I'm gonna go look at my paladin. Actually, I just logged it in to make sure it's
Ooh,
listed.
here we go. Totem. We use this. So we'll pretend this Nature Swiftness is actually or not pretend. We're just gonna change it. Earthbind. Yep. And you can shift click spells in too, so I can just select this field and go. Boop. There we go. Okay. So we should be good now. So now I can use Earthbind, which I don't know. And this interface is completely fucked. I'm sorry, I haven't played this guy in so long. I don't know what I did. I'm just gonna hit the button for it. So I'm not in combat, but when I hit it, I still get the
You online
cooldown.
right now?
I logged out. I'm doing a thing for Kumo on how to make WeakAuras. So
I just wanted to see if anybody was online that could invite my paladin to the guild, but I'll just slash you.
all right, that works. But yeah, so basically, 1 WeakAura tracks the cooldown of it at any point in or out of combat because I don't have anything selected there, and the other one only pops up. Hey, you can use this ability whenever I'm in combat. So let me run over and get into combat again. And you'll see that when I do that, this Earthbind thing is going to pop up, meaning it's available. So here we go. Here we go. Yep, see there's Earthbind. And then I use Earthbind, and it gives me the cooldown on it. Now, there's some other things you can do, right? I can go in here and you can't load WeakAuras in combat. Or you can't open the panel for it in combat, so I gotta wait for combat to drop, unfortunately. Here we go. Okay, so for instance, when it's on cooldown, I could also throw a desaturate, which would give it kind of a grayed outlook to make it just more clear that it's on cooldown. That's a pretty good one to use. Anyways, yeah, man, that should be all you need. I should make your thing. So I'll give you one other thing you can do here. If you wanted to do Bloodlust or what hell is Shaman's track? I don't even know. What else did you say in that thing? Range for Earthshock, Lust Timer, but I have that. Oh boy, what's this? Hold on. Someone just pinged me on a. Anyways, oh my god, stop messaging me. Oh, and so for this group that I can move around and stuff now, you can also go to the group tab now when you select the group instead of the individual one. And you can go in here and you can set an icon for that entire group. So I can set this one to, let's say, bind, Earthbind. So now I've got my, why didn't I did display? Whoops, sorry, hold on. Earthbind. So now my group has the same icon instead of that weird icon. And that's how you can do it. That's I would recommend doing groups. That's how you can make like little like and that's how they do it with the thing that you sent me, that Luxos one. They have like all the things like kind of in a thing that you can move around, or they've got all the icons kind of that you can individually manipulate, but you can manipulate that whole kind of use that element of all of the icons. It's all one big group. So that's all they're doing. So you just make them all and then you combine them all into a group, and then you can still go in here and move the other group around, right? But if I wanted to stack them up, which I would do with typing instead of by hand, but that's how you would do it. And then you can move the whole group around. I don't know what else. I'm trying to look here. That would be massive. The preferably one. Totem range check, fire LE, lust timer. So lust timer was not too bad. I'll make that one for you real quick. So you go to new aura again, but instead of icon this time, we can go to progress bar. Now you can still do it with the icon if you want to go with the icon. In that case, you just take what we already did for the Earthbind and Fire Ellie. It's the exact same thing. Progress bar is gonna make a bar like this. The bar texture is just what it looks like. So I could do this, or I could do I like clean, or like one of these blank ones. It's just like a solid. Yeah, it's a little too shiny. Oh, there's literally one called solid. Then we can go in here and do smooth progress so the bar moves nicely. You could change the direction of it, whether it loads or whether it depletes. And you could do all kinds of stuff here. Bar color, so I could make it like yellow or blue, or bloodlust will probably be red. We'll just say that. Show icon, so if there's a spell, I can make it show an icon. So let's do, I can choose the position. So let's put it on the left. Let's say bloodlust. So there you go. So now you can see the icon for Bloodlust. We can zoom in a little bit. But that's pretty much all you need there. Now, obviously, you can manually resize this thing or whatever you want. You know, you can do whatever you want with it, or you can just manipulate it here in the position and size settings. This is the time, and the text is %p again. Keep that, but you can obviously alter it, right? So I want it to be a different text. I probably want a better color than white on red. So maybe let's do yellow. Wait, that's the wrong fucking. That's text 2. I want this one, so which would be here. Nope. Oh, here, right there. There we go. So let's make it maybe I don't know. Whatever color you want to make it. What's good against? I guess white is okay. Maybe something like here. Hurts my eyes, but you could do that. Sure. And then again, you could anchor it wherever you want. I'd probably do. You could do center. Probably it's fine. Something like that. Do this. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. And then you're good to go. You can put this wherever you want. And then you just go in here. Oh, okay. I have the icon. You actually need to hook up the spell to it. But right, so player buff. So this again would be spell. Spell ID would be Bloodlust, which I don't have the spell ID for, so that sucks. But is it 2 words maybe? Well, certainly not. Okay, let's look up Bloodlust real quick on MMOChamp just so I have it here. Oh, it's heroism. I forgot about that. Come on, load. So wow, it's so slow sometimes. So it's 32,182. Over here, bingo. There's your heroism, and that's pretty much it. And you can just do show on cooldown, yeah. Pretty much it. You could have other things in here, like you could set thresholds for like you could have like, for example, just an example, right? Like you could do like overall or something. Like I get like an overall bloodlust timer, but then you can make another one. I could duplicate it, and I could have like 1 minute, and I could have it do something like when there's 1 minute left on bloodlust. Time equals. It's all in seconds, by the way. So when there's 60, when time left on the is 60 or whatever seconds, like I don't know, fucking make a noise or something, you know. So this trigger is when bloodlust is on cooldown and there's less than 1 minute, you know, play an air horn or something, like play sound air horn or something like that. You could do that. That's pretty much it, man. And you could just make these little things and put them over here on the side if you want to track or whatever. Like, so let's go ahead and make it something I can actually use. So earth bind. Didn't like that. Oh, because it's earthbind totem. So I'm just gonna use 2484. There we go. Easy peasy. Mm-hmm. Nice sounding. So now ideally when there's 5 seconds left, so this is what the cooldown timer looks like if you use an icon. And then hopefully if I did this right, there you go. You get an alert and you get the timer on that. And
where are LUI profiles
there you go.
Located at? Are they in the WTF folder or whatever?
No, you could copy and paste them from in-game before. So before you just go to LUI, you go to profiles on the bottom left, and at the very top you hit export profile, and then you hit export now, and it gives you a giant text field. You just copy and paste that on the other one where you did the exact same thing, but instead of export, you hit import. I didn't hold my mic down for that. Did you?
Nope, you didn't.
Okay. So you just open up LUI, go down to the bottom, very bottom left of the left-hand column, and under profile.
And it's on different. It's on a different account. That's the problem.
That's fine. You just hit export profile, and then you hit export now, and then you get a giant text field that's already highlighted. So you just hit Control C, then you close it, and then on the one that you want to bring it into, you go back to the same profile thing, and instead of export, you hit import, and you just copy Control V.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's it. And you got to name it. Be sure you name it, and that's it. Now, if you want to copy over all your key bindings, all your add-ons, like your add-ons that are enabled or disabled, all the positions of everything, all that stuff, that's in the WTF folder. Yes, I can show you how to do that
Do I
if you
just
want.
rename it the server character or whatever?
No. Wait, what do you mean? The LVI thing or the WTF?
The WTF.
No. Do you have my stream up by chance?
I can. Wait a second.
I'll show you how to do it real quick.
Yeah, I just want to take pudding pops settings and use them on the new paladin.
Let me know when you're in.
I mean,
That's pretty much
I'm
it.
not ready. So
That's
so-
pretty much it for LVI or for WeakAura stuff. You should be able to make anything you need from there. So I'll probably cut the video here. So let me restart my stream.